Hi everybody, this is episode 61 of Crusader Kings 2 here in the Nubia campaign. I am currently talking to you from the future, so this is not live. Well, this is never live, but I've been trying to get to the point where I was doing my audio at the same time that the recording was happening, so you get real emotion, and I wouldn't have to sort of make up stuff, halfway through and those kinds of things. But for whatever reason, this episode we did not record the sound, and so we're just going to have to do it like this. And it's been the first time for this, and of course this episode is a little on the long side. So it'll be interesting to see if I can make it through. But, we're starting off here. You can see that the Gardazids are still revolting from the other Gardazids. The Sultan of Kush has seen his territory sort of very much reduced. We took over the territories in Persia last time and reassigned those to set up this game. And we also, there was a war, I believe, in Kerman that allowed some expansion of our Persian territories. But the first thing that's sort of been dominating us is the fact that, yes, our threat level is indeed at 100% again. So we are going to be kind of limited to who we can attack. And we're going to be looking for people who are revolting. And of course, the easiest target for us to find, although, some of our vassals look like they're going to be busy. Sicily's going to war for a county on it, north of it. It looks as though the King of Mauritania is at war with the Galicians. You can see that Castile is having some trouble keeping England and Castile as a functioning unit. They've already lost the Kingdom of Mali, from their domains, and so that gives us a potential, an interesting target, I would think. I'm not sure anything will really come from that. The Holy Roman Empire has got some revolts going on, and you can see that the Holy Roman Empire has continued to expand. It's now into Russia, and I think that's because I think it defeated the Mongols in a couple of wars. There's even a fair amount of it now on the Caspian Sea, which seems a little out of place, but that's what happens when people end up fighting each other. So I'm not the only power in the world that has an alliance against them. There's a defensive pact against the Holy Roman Empire as well. There's also a defensive pact against, I believe, the Gardazids. I do not know if there's still a defensive pact against the Kush people. The Byzantine Empire is kind of broken up a little bit here. Again, it's been a while since I put up the last episode, so I don't. But it looks like the Aegean Islands have taken a good chunk of Ionia as part of their domain. So that's notable. It's also notable here is that there's a Bulgarian revolt. And this is important because we might actually have claims on things that are in Bulgaria. We just were in Bulgaria like a couple episodes ago to conquer Naissos, and maybe this will be our opportunity to go ahead and knock out Nikopolis and sort of take over all the things that we could potentially claim in Bulgaria by ourselves without any additional threat penalty. I've got a couple of armies marching around, mainly retinue folks that are trying to get over and kind of join them all together. And I'm really looking for somewhere to attack. I mean, I'm also not real happy with some of my vassals. And one way that's good for getting rid of vassals that you may not be happy with is a grand tournament. But to get there, we have to be at peace. And I'm not really sure that, if you'll notice, it's like 1426, I think, in the calendar, and with only about 25 years to go, I don't think I really want to be too peaceful, because then I'll lose any opportunity to, to beat people up in the future. So here's the good old Sultanate of Kush, formerly the Sultanate of Persia. And you can see what Jade Dragon has sort of done to the map here. All those Tibetan areas that were formerly not part of the map became part of the map and then got divided up by the various powers sitting around that region. There was a little bit of that in other places, but that was the most notable area. So if I'm looking at religious or holy war targets, and that's sort of what we're doing right here, trying to figure out where in the Gardeza territory to strike would be a good one. So, there's good argument to be made for Sanaa. There's actually a decent argument to be made for whatever that rebellious little province over there is. But you can see the Gardezids, formerly the Seljuks, don't really have a solid base of much of anything. They don't even control Mecca and Medina anymore. Their capital is in Mosul, but most of their kingdom is located, far, far east of there. So there's that to consider. Then there's all these sort of, there's this problem, and that is that we probably have to get rid of Bulgaria's allies in order to take Nikopolis for ourselves. You can see it's currently being sieged down by other people. But we're going to go for it here. We do have some, you saw our retinues kind of stuck in Asia. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to, I guess Dyrrachium is what this area is, named after the city of Dyrrachium on the coast. And there, we're going to raise up our vassal levy from the King of Mauritania. That northern Greece is really kind of a mess as far as we're concerned, as far as who controls what and where they control it. And at one time, I think Mauritania controlled more of that area, but it's kind of broken up over the years due to, inheritance laws and things like that. So we're going to put our 3 best generals in control of that area, and we're going to send them north. Now, I'm seeing Bulgaria's strength and the strength of the couple states that are sort of near them. We probably don't need to bring in everybody, troops. We can sort of leave things back as reinforcements. So we'll send our own levy to Alexandria, unify it, and turn it into a reinforcement. And these troops in Elam, because after I kind of carved up everything from the Persian stuff, I ended up keeping the county of Elam. We'll leave that alone. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with these retinue troops right here. I guess I could march them for the coast, but I'm kind of like to keep them around that area just in case this war gets called off and we have to immediately turn our attentions to the Gardezids or someone else. So, anyway. Oh yeah, we picked up a bunch of prisoners from our wars, so I'm going to try to get money for the ones that we can, and at this point, it doesn't look like we can get all that much money for these guys. So I'm just going to sort of dump out my prison here. I know some people like to execute everybody in the prison, or just leave them there. They're not doing me any good, and ultimately I don't expect them to do much good for their former master whenever they go back to them. So just might as well let them do it. These are people who were basically sending to the Sultanate of Kush, not to the Gardazids, who would be our next war target. So we have the army ready, but we double check our commander status. We do have an open commander position. And we don't really have anybody to fit in there. The top rated guy is our chancellor. So we're going to let's go find a general, bring him to court real quick. And yeah, I'm thinking the dude with the 21 ranking in Marshal would be a good guy to bring to court. So we'll bring him in, and then he'll become our new Marshal here in a sec. We'll continue to let the army march on under its current generals. Yep, there he is. And we're starting to get more peasant revolts, which is going to be a common theme sort of throughout this and maybe future episodes. For the most part, I'm going to ignore them for right now, but anyway. Now, one interesting thing about adding retinues to the game, you can see the little armies that have sort of popped up that are there all the time. Those are retinue armies. Those armies need to be commanded by somebody, and for guys who have titles below yours, there's not necessarily a lot of great people for them to install into command. So unfortunately, the Duke of Jerusalem decided to make himself his own commander. This is a problem because he's currently my chancellor, and I don't want to tick him off, which means that for the moment I'm not constantly reinforcing my relationship with my most important vassal, the King of Egypt, also known as the King of Egypt, Ethiopia, and the titular Kingdom of Yemen. Egypt has been incredibly important as far as using their strength to help expand the empire in places that I would not care to go. It is the Egyptians who were responsible for capturing Mecca and Medina, places I was going to leave alone because I really wasn't sure what an all-out Islamic jihad to get those back would look like. And so, not really worried about that anymore, not with the Sultanate of Kush being pushed back like it is. And, the Egyptians continue to be incredibly aggressive. And on one hand, I sort of am okay with that because the more spread out Egypt gets, the easier it is for me to call in their levies to support my other wars. My Egyptian levy is insane compared to the other levies that I'm capable of raising. All right, well, our guys still haven't made it up there yet. Let's go visit Persia and see what our other guys are up to. They're evidently marching south. Don't know, okay. We'll kind of let them do that. We're going to raise the Egyptian fleet here. Although we're still missing a few units. We'll put our new guy in command. We'll wait to get everybody up before we send the reinforcements over. Not really any useful troops to grab from around here. The Duke of Athens and the Duke of Salerno, who control the titles and the counties to the south, don't really have that many men. And we're engaging the Kingdom of Bulgaria here. And we are trouncing them. This is important because we want the Bulgarian revolt to continue long enough for us to take a county from them. We don't want them to get shut down. So actually defeating the Bulgarians and their allies is useful to us, even if it doesn't contribute any war score. All right, so now our steward needs something to do. Our steward, who is also the king of what would be Africa, but is called the Hamidid Sultanate at the moment. Actually, I take that back. He's the king of Mauritania. It's being called the Hamidid Sultanate. The Kingdom of Africa, I believe, is the Kinid Emirate, which, you know, gets real confusing. Anyway, okay, so we've got... Okay. Becoming a Miaphysite, my old friend Duke Raphael, is not a good idea. That's bad. My only hope is that he doesn't live long enough to convert his counties, or county, since the Duke of Arabia has kind of had his realm split apart by a couple different vassal kingdoms. So I only think he controls about 2 counties. We got our guys sieging over here. So there are 2 rebel holds that were not sieged by the Bulgarians or their allies. And then there were the other 3 that were. So we just need to be careful. Hopefully, if we can siege those out, things will work out okay for us. In the meantime, the peasants are going to continue to revolt, and people are going to continue to come and go out of our defensive pact. They're the defensive pact against us. You know, all kinds of fun. All right, we're going to try to stop Epimikosi from becoming shy. And the Bulgarians are fighting the Bulgarian revolt in our territory. So I guess that's good. There can be no winner in that one other than me, simply because the weaker the Bulgarian revolt and the Bulgarians get, the more likely it is that I will be able to get what I want from them. All right, so I successfully have got my retinues and mercenaries together into a single unit. And looks like, you know, we're still successfully besieging things. Looks like the Gardazids have raised their forces, and I wonder what that means as far as where they're going. Because it's quite possible that the king of Persia, who I believe is my son, has declared war on them for something that's sort of within his territory, or he declared a holy war. I think there's also another conflict going on involving the Sultan of Guj. I'll have to look after 1427 to see for sure, obviously. All right, while we're waiting, I'm going to keep dumping my jails here. All right, so you can see looks like there's some fighting going on in Epirus. Epirus is a de jure part of the Byzantine Empire, so it's possible that they're trying to retake it back. You can see our 3 generals there, and we're still sieging down. We're sieging down Nikopolis. You can see that Byzantine soldiers are kind of moving through our territory. I don't know what that's all about. Make the wife happy, we're going to buy her a buzzard, I think. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe we're just exploring a common interest. All right, now the Byzantines and the Epirots are having another little fight down there. Okay, we've captured Nikopolis, or the holding known as Nikopolis. The county of Nikopolis, still very much up for grabs. So now we control the main castle here, but you can see that we've actually sieged out the rest of the stuff in the name of the ally of the King of Bulgaria. So that's not going to do for us. We need to definitely do something about that. Otherwise, you know, we're not going to get the war score that we need. I don't think, even if it starts ticking, it's a long way from 14 to 100%. And there's my good friend, the King of Thebes, or, well, the King of Egypt. And you can see the Crusader revolt that took place in the Nefoud and also in Mesopotamia has ended. Something to keep in mind. Well, mainly because we stole a county off of that last turn, or the turn before. All right. So now we control 2 holdings, but we're not sieging anything. We definitely need to do something to make this war go a little bit faster. You can see that number isn't bad, but you know, we also have the issue of the Bulgarians besieging the Bulgarian revolt up here at Turnu. And so, for the first time that I can think of, we send a Kushite army across the Danube River. To go pick a fight with the Bulgarians. Yeah, that was not hard. So, looking at now, we've got, that's not a Bulgarian army, but that is an army that is hostile to me. And if they're headed back to Nikopolis to siege out the stuff that I sieged out, that's not cool. Okay, actually I think that is the actual Bulgarian army. I think the army that we fought was a allied force related to the Bulgarian army. So here's the Bulgarians attacking. I can't tell. I think that might be the flag of the Aegean Islands. So they're now in Moesia. Okay, it looks like the Duke of the technically, I guess he's the Duke of Athens, has decided to do something, and he's got a bunch of troops now. Still trying to figure out where all these Cardassian forces were going. Oh well. The Byzantines and the Epirotes are having more fights in Italy, which can't be good for Epirus, considering Italy is nowhere near home. All right, and we besieged something outside of that, outside, and the only concern I have with this is that I don't want to do too much damage to the revolt such that it just simply collapses. It doesn't do me any good sort of have a wasted war like this. Oh yeah, and based on the fact that we're kind of running out of years and a number of my kids won't matter anyway, I'm assigning the same guy essentially to be the guardian of them. He's Nubian, so there won't be a cultural complaint. He's also Catholic, so I won't complain about him. And this is Court Chaplain Balo, who, after, he's following after a very good court chaplain as far as spreading the religion is concerned. Balo, not so much. He's kind of been stuck in Caesarea trying to get rid of Waldensianism the entire way through. And, not really all that pleased with him. Not too much of a hurry, so I'm not, assaulting is a possibility, but I'd rather save the military strength. There you can see Epirus just got absorbed by the Byzantine Empire. They could very easily do the same thing to Arta to the south if they wanted to. Aha! Oh. No, one of my commanders died. That's not what we wanted. So what do we got? Now, unfortunately, we still don't have much to offer. The same 11s and 10s that we had going before. Let's see if there's anybody else out there. All right, he's Miaphysite, but he's a 16 martial skill, so we'll bring him over. Yep, he's decided he's going to come. And my wife is pregnant. I don't think I needed a successor necessarily, but okay. So you see the defensive pact against the Holy Roman Empire kind of broke apart. And we're going to send Michael Kuda out to take charge of the army. And now Michael Kuda is up. And we fall in love with our wife again. And now our forces in Nikopolis are actually sieging the stuff out properly. The brief period of time that they lost control of, or that they weren't in the province, the holdings were kind of liberated. The holdings that we didn't hold were liberated. And so now we're able to besiege the rest of it properly and get our war score up to what it should be doing. And, you know, I hope that we're not screwing the rebellion too hard. Okay, you can see the Duke of Athens has got his forces fighting maybe the Count of Ohrid up in the north here. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Sorry, not by up in the north, I mean southwest of where I'm fighting, but right. No, the reason Kyriakos is my marshal is not because he's the best man or has the best martial rating, but because I don't need him to command stuff. Ah, our truce with Kush is coming to an end. It looks like the Egyptians have decided that their truce with the Gardasids has already come to an end. So it looks like they're attacking the Nefoud. I love the amount of forces the Duke of Athens has managed to muster here, particularly since he only commands like 3 counties, and Athens isn't one of them. It's like Sicily is fighting some bizarre war against Corsica and Sardinia, and doesn't look like war is going too well against the Galatians. And there's the forces of the Kingdom of Mali. Apparently more internecine warfare going on. Oh boy. We have a son. He's not currently in the succession, so his name is not particularly of huge importance to me. I think our current king's name is Matthias. His father was Theodosius. That was when we sort of broke away from the habit of naming everybody John the Presbyter. If I get control of what they named the kids again, maybe we'll return to having John the Presbyter being in charge, but it also could very well be that we never see another John in charge of the kingdom. Alright, so now, this time, we can get running war score, which we have. For some reason, it seems like it's stuck at 99, and he won't peace out at this point. So we need to do something to go and raise it to 100%. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and kill this army. And maybe take another holding off of Turnu and hope that that answers the question. I think the kingdom of Trebizond has broken up a little bit because all these counties are all of a sudden independent. Which, again, if this had been early game or something like that, I've been all for, because I'd just go and annex them all, but here late game with our threat level up the way it is, these are just new members of the crazy alliance. And we have a peasant revolt in Benghazi. But yeah, no one wants to be vassalized into our giant empire. Their loss, I guess. Okay, so we've got to fight. I think this is with. Actually, no, it's against that ally that I'm not sure exactly who he is. Unfortunately, it still didn't give us 100% war score. Oh, there it is. Now it finally did. It flipped over. So we don't have to march over to this county of Severin. And there we go. Our kingdom, our empire now has a border that hits the Danube River. Make trade with the interior of Europe a little bit easier. Ultimately, probably doesn't mean as much considering that this pocket of the empire, which at one time I think I was considering taking over Greece. This pocket of the empire will remain a pocket. Just a good-sized one. Certainly larger than the pockets, the pocket I've got down in Athens and that area. All right, so with that war complete, our threat level should be at 100%. So not really much for us to do here. We have to wait until it gets under 75 if we want to attack these Muslims and avoid at least fighting the Christians. We'll end up having to fight all the Muslims. But we've kind of been doing that for a little while now, and if the Egyptians can get lucky here, and they seem to be besieging a fair amount of the Nefoud, maybe the Gardesians will be knocked down a peg. Let's see, Ireland still holds a couple of counties in the interior of England. It's not likely to stay that way. I think the Castilians have somehow gotten involved in the war against the Mauritanians. And of course we have our peasant revolts. There's the one in Benghazi. I guess we could march all the way to Benghazi. I mean, I'm not exactly in a hurry to get over there. I'm just going to, we could march, the reason I have these guys over here is to have them ready to attack the minute that we can once again attack the Muslims over here in the east. Alright, well, if we're going to do that stuff, then we're just going to hold a tournament. We got plenty of money. It's going to cost us a few months. It's not going to stop Egypt or Mauritania or Sicily or any of the others from their little wars. You know, we can dump more money into our forts here, so bulk up the castle walls. And then go to Napata and do something similar. And then go to Kawa and we can build up the barracks, or we could build up the keep. Why not? We'll build up the keep. They're already working on their stables, so nothing to do there. We can go up to Bukhalia, and again, we could build a desert cavalry outpost, or we could just ignore Bukhalia Maybe a fort. You know, doesn't exactly look like it's threatened. How about this? We'll build a Nubian warrior barracks. We'll get some better archery going on down here. And then we'll a couple holdings in Memphis. Here's the barony of Helwan. They've taken their castle fortifications and their training grounds as high as they can go. So we're going to work on the militia training ground a little bit here. All right, looks like the Duke of Alodia ended his own little civil war there. Another peasant revolt. Got some successions going on. More people deciding that they want back in on the defensive pact. And I'll see, since we're at peace during the tournament, let's see if I can convert some of these guys. Just make life easier for me. Oh, our spy master finally kicked the bucket. And unfortunately, the next guy, not necessarily all that good. Up, and now people are going to get wounded in the tournament. Some of these people I'm going to want wounded, and some of them I'm not. All right, so we've converted, I think, the Duke of Cyprus to Catholicism. So I'm just looking for direct vassals I could convert. This is the Duke of Colonnea here. I don't need to convert him. And this is the Duchess of Carcianen. I don't need to convert her. Okay. So about the King of Syria. Yeah, I don't understand some of these religious events. Oh, wait a minute. The King of Syria is a 9-year-old Cathar or Waldensian. I can't tell from here. You know, his regent is Catholic, so there's a chance that he will be converted that way. But I can't force him to convert while he's a child. So we'll just have to leave that alone for the time being. It looks like the Gardesids have built up an army. They're counterattacking somewhere. Yeah, Unfortunately, my old friend and steward, King Adwa, too old and set in his ways at 43 to convert, but oh well. You can see we've taken over a piece of territory in modern-day Western Sahara. Not sure what benefit that's doing for us. All right, we're going to have our spy master go research technology for us. And my court chaplain finally got Caesarea to convert to Catholicism. So good for him. And she's still, oh geez. Yeah, the assassins are evidently killing my courtiers. Okay, more revolting peasants. More Muslim raiders. Yep. King of France wants to marry somebody from the court. She's got 20 martial score. Let's see if we can find some other use for her. Well, there's not really anything. Leptis Magna. Okay, she doesn't want to be religiously converted. And give her to this count. Okay, something's happened in the war against the Gardazids there. I'm not really. We'll have to check that out here in a sec. Oh boy. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. You can see that the Egyptians have taken over the Nefoud desert. So now they control enough stuff that the Syrian desert to their north is in our colors. And the Gardazids are now stuck against the Persian Gulf here, except for their stuff, just a few holdings. Evidently being attacked by the Duke of Palmyra. He's a little bit out of his league there, but we're not going to stop him just yet. And my chancellor is still not ready to be my chancellor. He's still attached to his tiny retinue army. Oh. Okay, the Duchess of Gilead here, 72 years old and dead, right when we were giving her a gift. So her 47-year-old son will now give him a gift, and let's see if we can get him to convert. Oh, that'd be good. have one less thing to worry about there. Okay, so looks like we've converted another county to Catholicism. Our son, King Samson of Persia, who is our heir, he's fighting. Looks like the Duke of Tabulistan is fighting. Okay, the Duke of Sicily is taking away titles, and he does that every now and then. Looks like war's still going on, but now it looks like the French are involved here. You can see this is a French army, not a French monarchical army, but actually an army of one of France's major duchies. It's decided to come down and attack Corsica and Sardinia, and that could screw up our own war for the county of Opuntium up there in the north. Well, the Duke of Alodia is Miaphysite, so, well, he says he'll change. But he's also a quarreler, so I don't know if it means he's going to change or not. Maybe he'll just tell us one thing and do something else. And Carolus II, best characteristic is that he's good friends with us and he has a big army of his own. Because ultimately, now, okay, I tried to convert the Duke of Nabatea, but he wasn't having it. Oh. Okay, looks like my son has declared war on the Gardasids. I don't know for what. I want to say maybe the area around the traditional capital of Persia? Maybe around Isfahan or something of that nature? Well, somebody's losing sieges because I'm being told about it. I don't know if these are peasants or other problems. Well, here's a Tabulistan army fighting an army of Kush. The Persians are raising all of their forces. There's a Gardasid force of 13,000 hanging out in my territory. And the French, unfortunately, took over that county that we wanted. Now all of northern Italy is part of, well, okay, parts of Tuscany and parts of central Italy are now in the hands of the Emperor of France, just like part of North Africa is in the hands of the Emperor of France. My wife is pregnant. It has nothing to do with the Emperor of France. Yeah, so I'm kind of wasting my Chancellor slot at the moment. I guess I could get rid of him, but I don't really, I mean, he's got a rating of 24. If he ever does get out of his army, he'd be really good at doing that job. I'm still trying to convince you guys to vassalize, and you won't do it. Come on, guys, it's vassalization. And of course, if we declare war on them, everybody from Ireland to India joins against us. I mean, maybe I'm being just a little bit gun shy, but I'm pretty sure that we would not want to be fighting a world war, even if we would be able to win parts of it. All right, so I'm trying to convert Cyprus. But I have rebels in Cyprus. I want to get rid of those rebels in Cyprus. So we're going to send our retinue to go do something about that. For some reason, our retinue is a camel. I don't remember doing anything to my retinue to recruit camel infantry, or sorry, camel cavalry, but you know, whatever. So we'll send those guys up to Cyprus and we'll run out the rebels there. And we might just spend some time running out rebels for a little while, as far as I can tell. All right, let's go beat these guys up. The Gardasid Empire has just become so, or the Gardasid Sultanate has just become so weird. And there's part of it that's in Central Asia, and there's part of it that's on the Persian coast, the Persian Gulf coast. Hey, the Duke of Arabia agreed to convert. Remember, he had decided to, yeah, let's not involve our 67-year-old king in a fight with peasants, just so he raises his martial ability. All right, well, we've been successful in Cyprus. The rebellion has been crushed. Let's go bring the ships around and see where other rebellions we might deal with. Well, it looks like there's a rebellion over at Marrakesh. I really don't need rebels sieging out the capital of one of my major vassals. So, why don't we send the fleet over in that direction? That's right, these days we can run them all the way to Masat. And they assassinated another one of my courtiers. I don't particularly understand. Something's converted to Catholicism, which I'm always a big fan of. Particularly since that brief period of time when King Matthias was a Miaphysite. I had to figure out how to undo that. Okay, we've had another baby. Somebody's had a baby. Somebody wants to arrange a marriage. My steward does. She's pretty good. He's Catholic. We'll do this. He's also had a previous wife, and his name is Sinbad. So, yes, the Duchy of Tlemcen, or Tlemcen, yeah, which became independent from France during the Jade Dragon update for no apparent reason. And sits there like a tempting target, but you know, we've already used up our opportunity to sort of attack them. Yeah, see, this is what I don't like. The Galatians are headed down to Marrakesh, thinking that they can end the war, assuming they're still at war with the Mauritanians. So I just learned something new, and that something new is that you can only record in Windows Media Player for an hour, and then it kind of quits on you. So this is the second narration file. That it's not going to change anything, but I just thought it was fun to mention that. So we are busy fighting the rebels here. In this case, in Marrakesh. I think it's kind of cool that my empire has control of Marrakesh. It was a center of learning and business throughout the Middle Ages. And I also think it's kind of cool that since we have nominal control of the Sahara, basically it's our color now. You know, that our empire is somewhat contiguous, at least from the Black Sea to the Atlantic coast. And then when you look across Europe, it gets kind of funny because we've got little enclaves in Spain, enclaves in Italy, enclaves in Greece. But yeah, I need to find out what I want to do with these guys now. I don't see any rebels offhand. But then again, you know, maybe I'm missing something. I think the Byzantine Reconquista is starting to kick back up. It started when they took over Epirus, but now I think they're looking at the territories belonging to the Aegean Islands and thinking that they would like those. Meanwhile, the Count of Arta still does not want to be part of my kingdom. Can't blame him. He is Miaphysite, and I am a character who was Miaphysite and then turned to Catholicism by killing his wife and marrying another wife and converting to her religion and then proclaiming her religion. There was, I guess I wouldn't trust me either if I was from the other faith. So the Persians are besieging Mosul, which is good. That's our son there. But I have no idea what their war target. Not sure what their war target is. Holy War for Isfahan. Okay. So they're trying to take over these Persian-related counties up here. I think there's like 2 or 3 of them that sort of fit under the. Yeah, it may just be those 2. Yeah, it's just these 2. So, I mean, hey, they want to go for it and do that, then sure. I ain't got anything against that. All right, so let's hold a feast. It's getting toward the end of the year. It's time for me to get mad at everybody because nobody wants to show up to my feast. The monophysite heresy. You know, that doesn't bother me as much because that means that they weren't Catholics to start with. We'll send out our old marshal to hunt down stuff. Seems to be a good use of his talents. And now we're getting rejected by everybody as far as our feast is concerned. Yeah. Right. No one I don't like you. You don't like me. We're not going to have dinner. With the pyramids, I got the pyramids in the backdrop for dinner. And the Sphinx. Having dinner in Memphis. I think I renamed Cairo. I know I renamed the county. I don't know if I renamed the city. Oh, no. My friend, the Duke of Jerusalem, who won't do his job, has now converted to Neophysite and is forcing the conversion of other people around him. Not a fan, I have to say. Not a fan. And that particularly annoys me because it's in Jerusalem, which, you know, we liberated for the Pope in a crusade, and then it was nice enough to convert to our culture and religion fairly early on. But anyway, that's sort of where things are right now. We're still much of a threat to the world, but there's a lot of brown on the map. We now have we still have things going through the Zagros Mountains all the way to the Hindu Kush. So we've got Persia. You can see our reach around the the southern Mediterranean coast, all the way to where my good servant, the King of Mauritania, is still at war with the Kingdom of Galicia, and I don't know what's going on between the King of Castile and the Kingdom of Mali, but I think they are having it out over some territory or another. Ireland, still sort of a presence in England. Sicily sort of stopped from doing anything interesting up in the north by the fact that any war now would be declared against the Empire of France, which I imagine the Queen of Sicily is not interested in attacking. Yeah, a couple of the counties, but unfortunately you don't really have a shot at grabbing those. You know, lots of things you could potentially do, but you know, just with our war threat the way it is, just not much to be said for them. You know, Bulgaria is at peace. Little counties that severed from I think the King of Trebizond, although he might be the Duke of Trebizond. And then, of course, these little conflicts, they're being waged by my underlings against the Gardasids. Now the Gardasids, you know, just a little enclave in Yemen, another enclave in the Persian Gulf, a little enclave in Central Asia. But that's how the world looks in 1432, I think. And we've come a long way from being a 3-count duchy in 1066, located still right where the arrow is pointing. And next episode, we'll see if we can improve upon our position